Wow, what a wonderful space for a musical concert we have here today. So, the creation of new music has sort of always been, to a degree, associated with new technology. I mean, the kind of cool tech for Mozart really was actually the piano, which was sort of slowly taking over from the harpsichord as sort of the dominant musical instrument of the day. And so for myself and for colleagues and friends of mine around the world, we've been exploring the new tech of our age, code, as a way to create music live. So we've been looking at using programming as a way to create software live in front of an audience where that software is generating all of the sound and music that everyone is listening to. So today what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you a really quick introduction to this idea of live coding of music. We're going to start with a really simple little idea, a little musical ditty, for want of a better word, and then we're going to slowly build up a piece from there. And we have these magnificent disclavier pianos, these robotic pianos here today that I'm going to start out on. And then over time we're going to start introducing synthesized sound into the space as well. So we'll have this homogeneous whole of both the kind of acoustic piano as well as synthesized sound that we'll be listening to. So without further ado, let me get started. Hopefully you can see my code on the screen behind me here. And what I'm going to start off with, because we're in this kind of nice space, I'm going to start off with a little melody and just give you an idea about how we'd even start going about creating music using code. So I've just got a little snippet here with some boilerplate code. And what I'm going to do is we're going to call this theme. And I'm going to play this on the first piano, the piano over to my left here. And I'm going to give it just a sort of a random sort of volume. So we'll just say between 60 and 70. The volumes that you're going to be looking at in terms of numbers today kind of reach from 0 for silent through to 127, which is kind of as loud as it gets. And so that's 60 to 70. And then what we're going to do is we're going to jump down here, and I'm going to need some pitch information for this melody that we're going to play. So I'm going to create a list of pitches here. So I'm going to have to just, again, with the pitches also go from 0 to 127. So you can think of 0 as kind of the far left of the piano and 127 as the far right of the piano. The piano is actually a little bit smaller than that, but for today, just think about it that way. So we're going to make this little musical ditty here. So let me have to almost sing the melody here to myself. Okay, so we have a list of pitches. Now we're going to create a list of durations. These durations are basically musical beats. So we'll start here, and we'll go Okay, so now we have a list of pitches and a list of musical beats, and we should be ready to actually get our piano playing this little theme. I'm sure some of you will recognize this little theme that we're playing here, a little theme from Mozart. Hopefully you're hearing that through the speakers. So what we're going to do now with this theme is I'm actually going to extend this idea with the harmonic progression that kind of usually accompanies what we're listening to here. So let me now start this off. We're going to have an arpeggio, basically a broken chord for the harmony that we're listening to. And this is a sort of a famous idea of an Alberti bass, which Mozart used extensively. So we'll put in the chord progression that we need here. And then we're going to play this on the second piano, the one that we have over here to the right. That's okay, that's okay. This is in the key of C that we're playing here, C major that we're playing in, and then we're going to introduce this kind of pattern for the Alberti bass line. And we need this to be 2 beats long, and in a second you'll hear this come in on the piano to my right. And I'm sure you all recognize this little tune that we're now playing, okay? Now what's actually happening, just let me quickly explain here, with this function theme, what's actually happening is that, I'll just turn this piano up just a little bit, and you'll notice when I do this, I'm just increasing the volume a little bit, but we're actually changing the code on the fly. We're compiling this in the background and introducing this on the fly. So every time around this theme, it's actually rotating the list of notes around, which is why we're getting this list, one in turn as we're moving through. But of course, what we can do with this theme that we couldn't usually do quite so easily, we could do things like we could actually change this from major to minor. So let me change this now from a major to a minor. And now everything, the chords and the melody are now changing to line up with this new minor progression that we're working with. But of course, the whole idea of introducing these ideas isn't really to do bad Mozart, which is of course effectively what we're doing here. So let me now give you a sort of an idea of how we really use this in practice, which is not to write lists of notes and play phrases in this way, but is to use kind of mathematical expressions to actually form the patterns of the music that we want to play. So I'm now going to just introduce another piano part up the top here, which I'm going to call riff. And let me just give the details for this. So this is going to be on the first piano as well. I'm going to need a scale for this, and the root of this. This is actually going to move around the base of the chord that we're working with. And then we need to provide effectively the phase of this cosine. We're going to use a cosine to generate all the pitches that we're working with here. So then down here, we'll introduce this. We'll get the M play. And now we're ready to introduce this new part, which we're also going to bring out on the, actually, I might bring it on the second piano over to this side here. So this cosine now is the thing that's actually generating these notes. Let me actually stop this theme from playing. So we'll just turn this off. And now I'm also going to mimic this top part of the piano down an octave on the piano to my left. So now we're using this cosine. The cosine is actually oscillating around where the root of the harmony is, and it's just sort of moving backwards and forwards. We could change the progression here, for example, and introduce a new chord progression. So let me do that now. I'm just going to change the chord progression. And we could also, for example, introduce a new key. So we might actually change this from C minor to F minor. I'm also going to now change the second chord progression here, which will work off this second part. This will take a little while, but then you'll hear the key change and it'll start introducing this second part. Now, up until this point, I've been working basically acoustically. It's playing through the speakers, but the two pianos are the only things that are playing. I'm now going to introduce some synthesized sounds. We're going to start by introducing a bass line. So I'm going to do a very similar thing to what I was doing before. We're going to use the root of the chord that we're currently playing, and we'll just add 36. And then we're going to use a cosine here for the volume to add sort of a pulsation in this bass line that I'm about to start playing. So this synthesizer is about to start coming in now. Might bring that synthesizer up just a little bit. Okay, now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to introduce a little sparkly synth to play above the pianos. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it a different cosine phase to what we already have in here. So let me bring in this second synthesizer here. It's actually going to kind of mimic the pianos, but it's going to have a phase offset for the cosine. Okay, here we go. I'll bring in this synth now. finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a drum kit, and we're going to use the same sound that we were using earlier. And what I'll do now is I'm just going to put the microphone to one side, and I'm just going to slowly bring this piece up to a conclusion and then pull out. And the sound guys will be able to bring it up on the desk a little bit.